Tuesday, April 30th at 10:05, and I'd like to turn this meeting over to Wade and John.
Great, thank you. I'm going to turn it right over to John because pretty much items A through H are things that you've been directly dealing with. So John?
Yep, as far as the Greek yogurt marketing initiative, PCS has drafted and issued the RFP. Emails to over 400 companies worldwide, 285 dairy processors, 145 breweries, 11 hops. They put an ad on brewery.com and they've had 503 views. Ad on LoopNet to try and market the site more heavily. They've had 386 search results. It's been viewed 17 times. And the website that they created to market the whole project was viewed 130 times. They had 139 unique visitors. And they've done some outreach to ESD as well. In short, there were 7 breweries that had preliminary inquiries. None of those are really, a couple of them are still active.
What would we do to enhance this process with them? I mean, is there anything that we can do or you can do or knock on the door? I mean, is there anything, you know, I mean,
No, I don't
a
think so.
recommendation out there to do?
No, I've been following up with the leads and the prospects, you know, and working directly with them to.
Now, what's a follow-up? I mean, I don't.
Well, if he had one that inquired and, you know, they've asked for railroad rates, they've asked for electric rates, so that kind of information I'm providing them and talking to them about.
I've always wondered, John, and I've argued this from the get-go, I've argued that we discussed it is, you know, have an extra person to work with you, whatever. And when is a phone call, an email really requires a, you know, wait, I'm talking about face-to-face type of discussion with somebody. I mean, I know that's more expensive, you know, whatever, you just, but somewhere along the line, somewhere is a handshake and look in the eye. I mean, some of the contacts that we made is sort of look in the guy and there's a whole difference of that than there is with a phone call and email. I mean, what do you?
The whole strategy is to qualify the leads first.
That's what I'm saying, is, okay,
Yeah.
so you really, when you make that assessment, you say, now it's time to knock on the door?
Right. Yeah.
None of these are not knock on the door, so.
Just, you know, in addition to the breweries, there was 5 dairies, and then we had 2 kind of green leads that weren't initially on the list. I put them on the list. One was actually from PCS, and you know, it'd be a big plant. Nobody's here from the press, so.
We are on camera.
Yeah. It's a wood processing facility. It's a legitimate company. It's an investment company. They're looking to do some additional investments. So Lee from the county and I have been working it and providing electric rates and working with DEC to provide data on wood supply. Still active, you know. We're still working it. Takes, you know, it's a lot of work. And then the second one is a manufacturing facility that was a lead for the port that came through. And then later on, after, you know, conversations with them, I learned that they were looking for a facility in the Northeast. So I pursued that, had them send the RFP, and that facilitated a visit from the company because there was a deadline associated with the RFP. And they came here. We had a real good meeting, real good presentation. Met with Wade, Pat Kelly, Lee Rodriguez, and we've had an ongoing dialogue with them since they left. They're putting a proposal together now that they would take internally to their management team and Vice President of Operations, who ultimately would take it to the parent company in Spain. You know, if they want to go ahead with it, if it makes sense. But logistically, it makes sense. It's a unique situation where, you know, we're remote and kind of out of the way of, you know, transportation systems and any population centers. In this case, this is the perfect location to serve their customers in Canada, and they have quite a few customers. right now they're railing it and trucking it all the way from West Virginia.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and, so they wanna have a production facility that's closer that, you know, they can produce here, they can bring in the raw materials by rail. We've been talking to the NYOG about that, get quotes. And then cut down the transportation costs significantly by shipping from Odgensburg up to their customers in Ontario and Quebec. So strategically, it makes sense for them. They like the location, they like the site. And I think they have a deadline of May 15th to get their proposal together, so I've been working daily with them on,
Excellent.
you know, providing them
Oh,
information.
that'd be awesome.
So, yep,
Be awesome.
yep. So if one of those two worked out, would be worth the effort and the investment, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
it all, the pile may be small, but when you start adding more to the pile, eventually it gets,
Yeah.
you know, all these things make a difference in the end.
Yep.
Okay, so we had, two firms in the brewery side of it that you're still talking to?
Yes. One was, he was focusing on Buffalo and, thought maybe Ogdensburg might be a better location, but then came back and said, you know, I just continue to focus on Buffalo, but once that's done, you know, he may consider Ogdensburg. The other one was a brewery out of Alaska that, did some, you know, exploratory work.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some Alaskan beer, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Alaska, you know, it's,
Yeah. As far as the logistics prospectus, yeah, we drafted and sent out the RFP to 300 plus logistics firms and, didn't get any responses in that, so I think it's a case where logistics companies are just, you know, they have a mature distribution system and they're looking to expand at this point in time and aren't looking for new locations or anything like that, so. We have quite a few logistics firms in the park. FedEx has hired someone up in Ottawa to try and increase their business, so hopefully that'll help them to grow.
John, would you make sure that our firms in the park receive a copy of that report, please? And particularly the one I'm thinking of is the one you're having discussions with about the potential new operations here. That'd be a good fit. You should have a copy of that report. Thanks.
And the website's completed, we've had a number of inquiries, there's now a form that you fill out and send in, and, nothing major, but, you know, the customers that I've talked to, you know, poor customer the other day, for example, I mean, it's kind of the entry site for learning about our operations, and, you know, that's what he went to, it's a legitimate poor customer. And a couple other smaller firms that, you know, looked at us, you know, so. It's effective, I mean, it's important, that was a good project. Montreal Gazette banner ad, we had 587 clicks, but, no one that followed through as far as a phone call or looking for space. And I recommend that we do something, similar in the Citizen, which did give us a one lead, the last time we did one up there.
You wanna go to the auto market? Would you
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure that traditional manufacturing's,
yeah.
you know, out there the way it used to be.
Yeah, smokestacks aren't there anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But we have had a number of smaller inquiries from the Ottawa area, someone that wanted 3,000-4,000 square feet that I'm working with right now. A couple smaller firms that want offices that I'm working with. Been having a lot of conversations with Bob Penske about the Ottawa market. He thinks there's a lot of, and I agree, a lot of smaller startup entities up there, that, you know, might be looking for a US facility. And he actually has someone that's an existing tenant with him right now that we allowed him to sublease, just has a web presence, and they distribute all kinds of electronic components, electronic equipment. And, you know, I guess that business is growing, and some of these have the potential really to go big someday, you know, if you get the right one.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of software development, a lot of app developers. So there, you know, I think there's
Yeah.
opportunities there still.
But you know, it's funny, okay, so we kinda switched gears, we went to the Montreal market, you know, it's only 110 miles away. Obviously, most of our business came from Ottawa. Have we, I mean, Toronto's 210 miles, 220 miles away, but Toronto, if you guys have been to Toronto, it is just bubbling
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean, it's amazing construction, things are going on there, it's just whatever. I mean, Oshawa, we took the train there, whatever, and you look at all the things going down, you know, and, you know, was it there was something in Oshawa, St. Mary's had something in the
Yeah,
plant?
St. Mary's Spencer.
Yeah, I mean, so, do we think of the Toronto market at all? I mean, is that too far, or is,
I've always thought it was too far, and traditionally.
but there's companies and corporations there that, I'm not
Traditionally,
sure what,
Traditionally, they go through Buffalo. I mean, if they wanted, you know, if they're looking for a
okay,
close
all right,
location.
that makes sense, yeah.
And, you know, that gets them to their market. If their market's the Midwest or the Northeast even,
Yeah,
it gets
they're
them
on
on
the
interstate and
interstate right there,
everything
aren't
else,
they?
yeah, and they're only a short distance from their operations in Canada. Whereas driving all the way north, 4 or 5 hours to Ogdensburg, you know, and then where are they in terms of their distribution, you know?
Yeah.
They're remote, but, and I've done mailings there before, and,
Oh, you have,
yes,
okay.
yeah, and
It was like the Gazette?
and the county does is still doing trade shows there.
Okay,
And,
all right, so we're not forgetting that market.
No, and I've gone on trade shows with the
Yeah,
county on a couple
okay.
of occasions in Toronto, and met with a company up there that is still a prospect,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing's materialized with it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. So the recommendation is to, what about the Montreal Gazette? What do we spend, 10,000 there?
Yes.
We've expired that?
Yeah, that's done.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you asking to just go anything extra into the Ottawa market again? Or just
I need to
continue?
research it a little bit more. There's advertorials that you can do both in the Ottawa Business Journal and the Ottawa Citizen, which would be kind of a different type of advertising. And you know, we sell ourselves as, start a U.S. business in Odgensburg or whatever, and maybe that would give us a better response than a typical banner ad or something like that. So I want to look into both those publications and look into the advertorial section and see if that's a possibility for us.
What
What the
are you
cost
looking
is and
for?
all that.
Are you looking for the industrial park, you're looking for port business? I mean, when you go into these markets?
Industrial.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, what do you focus on? I mean, everything?
Small businesses and
Small business.
larger businesses. Not poor. Poor's
Nothing
good.
for the poor?
No. No.
Airport, railroad?
Well, the railroad comes into play if it is a company
Yeah.
that needs those types of services.
So all that people do there, what do they want? They just come down here for, have an office or space and stuff here, just to say they have, they're in America? I mean, like we did before, like
It's
Mitel, that type of thing?
Yeah.
You just wanna be, have American contacts?
Closest U.S. community to their facility. It may be for U.S. content requirement, maybe for U.S. military requirements. The gentleman I'm working with right now does fingerprinting for the federal government in Canada.
Yeah.
And he has contacts with the FBI and wants to start have a US office to do that, so this was the closest, location
A
and,
little thing, but it's still,
yeah.
It's the start.
yeah,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
this
you
stuff,
know.
yeah.
Lot
And
of
then
offshoots.
the others are kind of logistics
Yeah.
related where, they're trying to avoid, the brokerage fees and that, and the additional expense of shipping into Canada by using us, for pick and pack and,
Yeah.
yeah. Similar to what Lee Valley and Veritas Tools do, you know, where they're here because it's US returns that are coming back and they don't wanna send it back into Canada and pay the extra,
Yeah.
it's expensive, so they use this facility for that.
Let me go back to the Greek yogurt prospectus and with Bruce and everything. I don't know if you guys know what happened with the Greek yogurt plant, whatever. And there was, why don't you tell them, John, exactly how or Wade, whatever, how it happened, the rules have changed where,
Sure.
you know,
We had a conference call facilitated with the largest player in the Greek yogurt business. And going through the sales pitch, in the middle of that pitch, we hit a brick wall. There was a fundamental error in the Greek yogurt prospectus report, particularly dealing with the court case, Ultima Foods, and specifically, the expert got it wrong. The decision was made back in June of last year and then finalized in December of last year. And the person on the other end of the phone had firsthand participation in that court case. The way our prospectus read was there was a huge market for Greek yogurt in Canada based on this court ruling. Well, when you dig into the court ruling said exactly the opposite. The court ruling reaffirmed Canada's protectionism of the Greek yogurt, so it just wiped out the entire Canadian market potential for the Greek yogurt. We reached out to the consultant. We had him take that section out of the report, and there was an effort there to see could we salvage this report to use it for something else. And the answer to that question was yes, we could. It'd be between $6,500 and $10,000, and that's not coming before the board for approval. And that's where that stands.
what was that for,
They should do it for nothing.
huh?
They should do it for nothing.
Well, you know what, I mean, you know, and John's contacts, whatever, with Bruce is, you know, it was the timing of the report was probably accurate, but by the time it got to
Yep.
our plate, it wasn't accurate. And, you know, as you spend that money and move forward, okay, the rules changed, whatever, and I would say wholeheartedly, blame Bruce's efforts, whatever, but still, no, we're spending this money, you know, to do this type of thing, and you realize, you know, you didn't have any validity what you're asking for to happen, so, yeah, I think Bruce should have said, wait a second, okay, I mean, I like his work, but I'm not sure exactly, you know, what the dynamics of what the province he has to do other type of things, and obviously, it's all about the money. You have to decide if, obviously, Wade just made a recommendation not to pursue that agency, is that what it?
I
Not at
will
this point,
recommend
then.
to bring that before the board for another $6,500 to $10,000 to correct an error.
Okay.
It's not worth it.
Well, I mean, I guess Wade, really, when you come into those committee type of things here, whatever, I mean, Doug, that's something that, you know, we decide here if it is a thing that you wanna send back to the full board or something to discuss, whatever. And, you know, you just say no, and if you say no, John, if you got something different to say, I mean, not trying to create controversy here or whatever, but it's the idea of what's open-minded here, that something we should consider or not consider, I mean, we should hear it from you too, you know?
No, just
I mean, you're
continue to
okay with?
Just continue to move forward with this
Yeah,
other thing.
okay,
Yeah.
excellent, I mean, I'm okay with that too, I mean, it just,
Well, we
Oh, the
knew when we
Canadian.
started it was a hit or miss thing.
Yep.
We were hoping for a hit. What we also knew that through this study and this proposal, it might lead us to other contacts. So I don't see this as being completely lost, although I'm not for, utilizing the services any longer. But we're still, with the fallout from this, working closely with a group. And that's what we were hoping for, is somehow by putting that out of there, we might come out of the other end with something.
Yeah.
We also knew when we hopped on to the whole yogurt thing, we knew we were getting on a little bit toward the tail end. But we were hoping that if we didn't get this, there were other possibilities. So, I agree with these guys, and I just wanted to point out that all isn't lost.
Well, I mean, unless something changed as far as the dairy industry in Canada, we talked about with Gillibrand, was it with John?
Gillibrand's.
Yeah, with Gillibrand's office, whatever regards to, and they didn't realize that there was that type of issue involved. And, they were gonna look at whatever political action that they could take to, allow, there's some, some of the things that you could allow that was made here, brought there, brought back, or vice versa, whatever. I mean, there's some
Yeah,
crazy
there's,
rules that they could do.
An
What was the one in Vermont?
export for re-import program. It's a program where Vermont milk leaves the U.S., goes to Montreal, is manufactured into yogurt, and then comes back into the U.S.
Yeah.
That is part of the export for re-import program.
I think a better name would be export of jobs. That's what's happening.
Yes.
We're exporting our milk to be produced by Canadian workers, and it's bringing the
Yeah.
product back.
Well, we've done that in America. We
Yeah.
have the products, we send to China, reassemble, bring it
Yeah.
back. And you
Doesn't
say,
make
wonder
sense.
where the jobs went. Oh.
Right. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. This example's a little closer to home.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Cross River's a little closer.
It's interesting, given our location on the border, that, those types of things go on. It's like North Lawrence Dairy, the cups that they put the yogurt in, and the fruit that they put the yogurt in comes from Canada.
Right.
Then it goes to
That-
the United States, it's our milk though, so it's good.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things that we talked about at the beginning too, the fact that maybe that might be something that comes out of this, but you're right.
You wanna talk about some of the other things that have come out of this report? Again, without mentioning names, but in general, thinking of the capital group you're working with and some of the other things.
Yeah, I did that earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was referring to the wood products and the manufacturing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I was referring to.
I just wanna make sure it's out there because it's not, in your words, it wasn't a complete failure. I mean, there were
Right.
things that came out of it. But
When he talked about that, I kinda made a little tree of the
Yep.
stuff, and there's still things alive out of it all.
Well, when you look at things that, I guess the expression would be think outside the box. And, there's a level of criticism to say, all right, what did we do with the Montreal Gazette? All right, well, obviously, the discussion is why would I go into that market, French market, and do it that way, that particular way? And even though you had 587 hits and you didn't get a phone call, that doesn't mean it's a failure. I mean, it isn't. I mean, not because of you didn't get a contact or contract, but it still may be a technique that something needs to be revisited on other issues, another situation at a different time. And that's the one that always gets me is say, well, we tried it once, it didn't work. Oh, why didn't it work? What we were offering didn't work at the time. What is it? The time is wrong with the economy, the products, the strategy, type of thing. So I don't say we throw that market away or that style away, whatever, but,
No, and it's basically advertising, you're planting the seed, it's an image and awareness campaign to make, 543 people, or if not more, that viewed it, probably thousands more that viewed it, that, have some knowledge of Ogdensburg now and what's available there, and, it wouldn't be totally unrealistic to expect that you may get a call. Some of these, you talk to them at a trade show, they saw your ad here, they got a mailing, and 3 years later, they're, knocking at your door, so. And that's true of the county's marketing efforts as well.
well, marketing the way I understand it is consistency, availability at certain times in certain markets, so that person, whatever, I guess a good example is, you look at the insurance companies that, they're on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Geico, Liberty,
Amazing.
whatever, and if they don't get into that ball, they forced each other to get in that ball game. I mean, it's hard to believe how much money these people are spending on, on on advertising. But it's like, obviously, there's money enough out of it, and if they don't advertise, they don't market themselves, you lose your advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're here. So, being consistent, well, somebody would say probably, did we go long enough? Did we go long enough in that market, to say, did we go 6 months, a year? Did we go a year, did we? No.
Just 6 months, yeah.
Well, 6 months.
Yeah.
You say, did you really go long enough? I don't know. I don't know enough about whatever, and somebody comes back
Well-
around and say, what happened to those guys?
Yeah, we'll
Well,
hit it again. Yeah.
okay,
I mean, it's definitely
Yeah.
our market, yeah.
okay. Where are we at now? We're good?
PBS TV, 340 spots, 20 weeks, and another 13 weeks with this Downton Abbey show that we've been on. Nothing in particular for results. It wasn't a huge investment, but certainly it's viewed in Canada,
Mhm.
so. NCPR, we're doing some underwriting on, 5 times per week for a year, so we're getting our message out there as well. Greenwood's Guides to Great Lakes Shipping, that's an annual publication. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It's a big spiral binder, basically the handbook for the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway System. And ports are profiled in there, so we need to be in there. And that runs through it's a yearly thing, so it's good for 2013. The Ottawa Tech Guide, we did a full page ad in, and that's it's an annual publication and referred to by tech companies throughout the year, I'm sure. And they have an interesting listing in there of companies, and I think I'll buy their database. It doesn't have emails, unfortunately, but it would be an interesting mailer to their, has addresses and stuff of numerous companies, so
Mhm.
I think maybe 500, 1,000, I'm not sure, but that's a good database to tap into. I had the Citizen on there. We haven't done it with the Citizen lately, but like I say, I'm going to take a look at the Citizen and the Business Journal quickly here. The fall mailing that we did was 5,000 direct mailing pieces to the Montreal area. We had 7 replies and 5 site visits. Nothing spectacular, but all good contacts, all good conversations. Nothing that's going to happen anytime soon, but they're aware of us and what we have available.
Mhm.
And still the least expensive form of advertising, and best results in terms of direct contacts and site visits. So
What'd that cost you, 5,000 mailers, Jeff?
it's about $1 a piece.
For a buck a piece?
Yeah. When all said and done. So I'm looking at mailing this spring here into Ontario, and I thought we could try something different. I've been talking with a lot of tenants in the park, and thought in addition to what we usually advertise, which is a letter saying, we'll be up there during the month of June or July, and we'd like to visit with you, and they have to reply within a certain time frame, so that's how it's been effective. And we have information about all our services in that letter and the benefits of being here, and usually a flyer with real estate that we have available. But I thought, in addition to that, we could have a flyer in there for these companies that provide real services to Canadian companies. So they might not need, 20,000 square feet of space, but they might need FedEx's services, they might need Penske's services, or Derringer, or Corporate Center, Strader Ferris, and by generating additional business for them, it generates additional need for space for us. So, and they're quite enthusiastic about it.
Mhm.
They'd like to see that done, so that's the strategy. I thought I'd take this time and see what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah. Then I gotta look at a port mailing as well. I've got a couple databases, and I have gotten different inquiries when I've done these mailings before from companies even out in the Midwest. They're just, nothing that's closed yet, but they've said, geez, that's pretty cheap storage. And, they've asked for rates and that type of thing, so it's good advertising.
Yeah,
It's
up to you.
it's inexpensive, takes a little bit of work, but worth it.
Just to interject here, Sam, or Chairman was just asking, fill you in on where we are with this, one of the salt contracts, as far as, marketing and all that. We're repricing one of our major salt contracts, trying to incent, significantly larger volumes, and basically what it would do, it would turn a $2 million contract into a $3 million, contract, and would be over a 5-year term. We aren't there yet, but we're getting much closer, and what that would mean, it would mean going from 2 ships to 5, 6, 7 ships for this one particular salt customer. So,
That's huge. That's huge. How's the guy saying to you, huge? Huge.
And the other thing I need to spend some time on is our marketing pieces. This is, this was done when I was at the city, and it has a 2001, 2003, somewhere in that time frame. It's a nice piece. It's not cheap, but it's basically markets the community. Somebody's gotta do it. I mean, last time it was I think it was a city OBPA effort. And maybe we could talk to John about.
One time there was an effort to pull money in, but
Yeah.
city hasn't done it anymore.
Yeah. I'm sure the labor date is outdated. Sites and facilities probably need some work. Empire Zone, for example, is a whole page. I mean, that's gone. Those incentives are gone.
There's no principal at LFA.
Yeah. Here's a testimonial from Filtran. They aren't here anymore. Still Anson, different name at ACO.
Seeds updating.
Yeah.
We're gonna sell ourselves and,
Yeah.
it's,
That is very well done though.
That is.
yeah.
Do we know who did that originally, Jeff? Which firm?
I did all the writing and stuff and worked with Henderson Printing, and they did all the graphics and things like that. But with Minority Women Business Enterprise, that complicates things, makes it more complicated.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there are always exceptions to that, and specifically, if you don't have to recreate the whole wheel, there would be a case where it would be acceptable.
Yeah. There's a gal in Messina that I worked with, she did this brochure, does real good design, clever toad design. And I don't think she's minority owned, business certified. Then there's a printer in Canton, I'll have to check on to see if they're certified, but it is woman owned. For our mailing,
What is that, commercial process?
yeah, yep.
I'll look on.
Okay. These we're all out of, and I think it needs a new message, and and this was done probably the second year. I came here, so I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and, I just think it needs a new look, and there's certainly, some of the aerial shots when we had the wind turbine projects, and
Yeah, that's,
we got a ton of different,
You know,
pictures and stuff,
there's much better
And-
photo database now.
yeah.
that
And it's
picture
kind
right
of,
up
it's
there.
kind of a, it's also, like this we usually give if we have a serious prospect come in, so we don't need a lot of these, but we don't mail them out, 'cause it's too expensive. This is what we use for a lure brochure when we do a mailing, cause it's the right size for a brochure, and this should probably go down to a smaller size, it's more expensive putting it into a large mail envelope, and, so.
Yeah,
When we originally produced these, did that come out of that, pool of money where we put in 15,000, the city put in 15,000, and what was it, Lisbon put in some, Oswego, whatever? Is that, that, we aren't, doing that at this particular point, is that where the money, for those came?
This one either came out of Empire Zone funds or the joint committee, I think it was the joint committee. And these are
Those are both ours.
OBPA, but the lure brochure started at the city.
How much do we need to reproduce all that?
I haven't priced it out yet, but,
Well-
I'll work on that,
Okay.
yeah.
The other thing we haven't done in a number of years we should do is we've got a brochure for the Port of Ogdensburg. We don't have anything current on the bridge. Should also do one for the bridge.
What would we do, where would we use that?
Combination of the bridge and the industrial park.
Okay.
one of the things that, if you remember, John, you might have been working with, say at the time, was the, and maybe you too, Doug, was the headhunter program.
Yeah.
You know, and whoever got so many jobs, and I forgot how many jobs you had to get, you got 25,000, stuff like that. I don't remember the numbers and how it worked, but there was nobody out there that really jumped on the
Jumped on
bucket
it.
to do that, but, I'm not sure how this committee or the Bridge and Port Authority would hire somebody to do that, but I don't know, I mean, it's,
Yeah, they ran into issues about, conflicts of interest, like they were looking at, actual site selectors. Site selector is supposed to find the best site for the company, and if he's steering him toward a place cause he's gonna make money, it's a conflict for him and that kind of thing, and they did allocate some money, I think, for, Eel Shapiro when he was running.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And he was pretty aggressive, and he brought us some prospects, but, well, didn't pan out, obviously,
Well,
but PCS, there's someone that, is connected to a lot of different companies. Maybe some sort of, an incentive to them that, they get a share of the real estate transaction if they bring a client in, if they're
Mhm.
selling land or whatever. I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
County had,
I don't know where it fits now, but I mean, it's,
yeah. Most people won't do anything without it up front. I mean, it's like working on commission, and what are the chances and the odds, and then you gotta market and invest, and,
mhm.
so.
Tell me about the website. Where we're at with the website. It's all done, it's all put together the way it should be?
Yep.
Okay, anything we need to add? I think, what are some things that we?
A lot of work on the compliance side
Yes,
that
that's
still
what it
needs
was,
to be
yes,
done.
that's what it was, yeah.
Bottom line, I'm learning a new coding language. I've got some tools to do it. It's not done yet, but I've got about 60% of what I need.
Okay. But as far as the advertising stuff, it's,
Mhm.
anything else you think you need to it?
No,
No?
it's fresh.
Okay,
They've
good,
been
good.
working.
Next question is the LED sign out here. Do we get anything off that? Anybody drive by and say, oh
No.
my God, that's a wonderful?
I think we've had a lot of compliments about it, and people in the community, and, I think we've had some Cape Air interest.
Yeah, there's we can tell the sign is working because we don't advertise for companies, but we have Cape Air, we have Ogdensburg Airport with a picture of the Cape Airplane and our phone number, and we get calls at the desk on a
Mhm.
regular basis.
Yeah.
That tells us it's working. Community groups and things that influence travel on the bridge
Mm-hmm.
have been very successful. We've had the Sportsman Show, the Boys and Girls Club, the Garden Club's got something up. And I think there will be a group that's doing the duathlon here in the city, is looking at that. How we do that is, if it's something simple and they don't need, full-blown design, we'll just do it up in-house. And if it's something where they wanna have a professionally done ad that's, a 2-hour minimum, $65 an hour, and we point them to the design firm. So it's pretty, pretty simple stuff, in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about an airport brochure as well. That's something we hold off on for now, or is it,
I'd like to hold off on the airport for sure right now, because we need to get the strategic plan finalized, and we need to start going in that different direction, but I can't talk about it on camera right now.
Yeah.
Would the Bassmaster Elite thing in Waddington be something we'd wanna put on our sign? That we would, support their, or to help support their fundraising efforts. I know they need $165,000 and they've got $40,000.
Well, as far as promoting the event, absolutely, the Bassmaster event on such and such a date, but not something that would say, give money now to that, there's a difference there in the direction, but I don't know, I'll have to ask, I haven't received any requests or anything from the county chamber, and I'll ask, make sure
Yeah,
that we can get one.
it would come from Village of Waddington, not the county chamber, but I'll see those folks Thursday night.
Okay,
Ask them to make that request, or tell them to make that request,
sounds good.
or invite them to.
Do we hear any more on the boat races?
I've heard nothing.
Nothing, and we open up our port to that and let them know that they're gonna do it?
I mean, there's
or nobody-
nothing to
I know
open
last
up
year
and-
there was interest, I don't know, so nobody's really came back to us?
No.
Is there a contact person to offer that to them, or we just, our port security plan isn't ready yet?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with our port security plan. We're better set up for them now than we used to be,
Okay,
with the new port access road and also the overlook area, that's there. We've got the contacts, we just haven't heard anything from anybody.
who does that? Bob Sobey usually do that? Who does that?
I've got it, I've got it on our
Maybe
previous use
Sandy,
permit.
maybe Sandy has it with Chamber of Commerce, thing,
Jeff,
whatever it's
Jeff
all.
Richards too, probably.
'Cause we had a
Yeah.
big meeting down here at one time when everybody was here, and we went and toured the site and everything. And, I'm certain we've got all those contacts.
That maybe just something quick note to them saying we're, planning our summer events and
Get your use permit in if you're
right,
interested.
if you're planning to, just
Yeah.
a quick contact to, I think those things are like planned well ahead of time. You gotta get on the circuit, be accepted, blah, blah, blah. But, just as a frame of reference, so they know that they're,
Maybe not this year, but maybe
yeah,
next year,
right,
whatever, we're
just
ready.
let us know, so that we
Yeah.
can make plans, that's all.
Good
I
point.
will
We'll do
say
all
that
three.
road's being well used though for the riverfront, because I drive by each morning and must be the perch were biting, cause one time there was about 15-18 cars down there and the whole shoreline was lined with fishermen. That's, you knew exactly what they were doing, you could see them sitting on the rocks or whatever.
Or if we could charge for boats in Wheatall's Bay.
Well, there's a lot
Figure way to rent the water, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
gee.
They had fishing
Wow.
fever, didn't they? No boats out there? Where we at, number 4, John?
3, as far as outreach efforts, I've had,
Okay.
22 face-to-face meetings with prospects, probably another 50 in terms of outreach, emails, phone, that type of thing. Had a good meeting with the grain company in Montreal, grain company in Toronto. they're well aware of us, and there's interest, in using the facility. It's just a matter of finding the right, opportunity, I guess, where they're shipping to and their customers and that type of thing, so. But they are doing some imports into the United States because of the drought last year, and, farmers have been holding on to feed up in Canada, so like the company we have a contract with hasn't been able to purchase the corn at the right price, so it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully it will this year. And an Albany Furman, another grain company that, looking at the port facility, toured it, and, there's some interest there again, it's just gotta be the right connection, so. Pool and Grain's gonna do their citrus pulp, program again this year. We'll be getting about 30 rail cars from them, during May sometime, so it's about 3,000 tons of citrus. So. And then we've got a WIA coming up, Sunday through Wednesday of next week, and Sam and Fred and I will be going, and I've been working, regularly doing outreach to anybody I can think of that, we can, interface with while we're there. I haven't had a lot of luck with setting meetings up, but I do have several set up. And, the ones that did the project last year, I just got an email this morning with
Yes.
Vestas I've talked to.
Yeah.
But the freight forwarder,
Oh, Brad?
Brad and
Yeah.
Kim Anderson, and they both wanna meet with us when
Who's
we're
that
down
again, five?
Where's that?
10-5?
Chicago.
That's gonna be held in Chicago, is that?
Tim Fife, I have a meeting with you.
We have a meeting with him?
Yeah. He
Good.
said he has nothing, that,
They fell apart, that project down there?
no,
Or is he a year away? I know he has nothing
yeah,
summer.
yeah,
I know that's what he's planning for 2014.
right. And unfortunately, because of the delay in the PTC,
Oh, God.
that's I think the event's gonna be considerably smaller this year, and there's empty booths around us, and,
That's what
and the
he said.
companies that I've talked to have just said, like Vestas, we don't have anything.
Well, they consolidate, all these
2013.
companies consolidate, it's like they can't go alone anymore, there's just, they have all the capabilities to build this stuff and
Yeah.
no customers.
Suzlon, I've got a meeting with, it's difficult finding their logistics person, but they said they had some projects in New York, I'm not sure which ones they're bidding on, but we'll be meeting with them. And you got Cape Vincent, of course, which I've been doing some work on, but that all is gonna hinge on, getting it through the Article 10 site review at the state level, and boy, there's a lot of opposition up there in Cape Vincent. It's just, you probably read some of the articles and
Yeah.
stuff, they're just fighting it tooth and nail. And then the state even, as part of the review, came back and said that it was deficient what they had submitted so far, so that process was supposed to encourage these projects, hopefully it will still, but that would be a big project if we
Yeah.
get something like that. 2014, 15, it's a ways off.
Well, I mean, it's funny, cause you take the Chateauguay area up there, and, they're open arms because it's brought so much extra money into school districts, taxes and all those type of things to do all sorts of things in other areas. I mean, obviously visibility, things that you want or don't want. People realize the environmental impact when you see these monsters spinning around, and those big ones up there now, I couldn't believe how much bigger they were than the other ones.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't realize how big they are and assembled compared to the other ones. I thought the other ones were pretty big and, whatever, but the bigger ones are more efficient, they're quieter, which is, it's the technology coming out.
Yep.
But I guess to get them into the grid system I guess that's the problem over in Wolf Island, that I'm not sure if all those are still in the grid system yet. To send electricity into Canada. I don't know, I'm just guessing. Cape Vincent, obviously, they can see them looking across, and I guess you have to decide if you want that or don't want that, but.
Yeah.
But that's each area has to decide their own. Any dreams you have out there that you really fantasize, you say, I wish I could do this or that, whatever, something that, you know, give you the opportunity to do something different? Anything out there and you think that we're missing? That you really say, okay, I wish I could do this? Pretty heavy question in a way, but without any thought process. But, you know, somewhere along you say to yourself,
Oh, I wish the state had better incentives, and I wish it was a more business-friendly state. Probably shouldn't say that on the camera.
well, you know what, I mean, I
it's-
think the governor is trying to change that philosophy. Listen to the ads, whatever, and the type of things is, okay, we are better than we used to be, whatever. And I think that's, you know, that's really what's out there. As things are changing and are looking at, you know, what it's, you know, that way.
The Empire Zone program was quite a package of incentives that, you know, just doesn't exist anymore. And you know, some of these breweries that I talked to, the first question was, you know,
What's the
New
tax?
York and taxes and stuff like that. I mean, you know, are there any special taxes on brewers? You know, so you got to do all kinds of research for them and show them your corporate structure. But it's common knowledge that, you know, it's one of the highest tax states in the country. I mean, every year they come out with a list, and so
Well, as you
you're dealing
pointed
with
out,
negative perceptions, and it's when you only have a building to offer and not much incentives, it makes it more difficult.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So
Yeah.
as you pointed out in the lure brochure, it's 2 full pages of benefits that are removed.
yeah,
So it just means that we work that much harder to promote Ogdensburg.
they're they're looking at what are those centers called?
Oh, centers of excellence, there's nothing out there
There's
yet.
hot spots, isn't there some called
Yeah.
hot spots?
Hotspots.
Yeah, and it would be nice. And we had one meeting to talk about those hotspots for innovation, which would be similar to an Empire Zone, from what I gathered, would be tax-free zones. But they're probably going to be affiliated with universities. If there's some way we can somehow connect with anything that Clarkson might propose. You know, they've got academia and the startups, and we've got the space, and it'd be nice to be part of that proposal, you know.
Well, the other catch is too, it's an idea right now, it's not legislation, it's not anything
Mhm.
that's, you know, coming down the pike as a program yet.
Wade, when's the regional council gonna ask for proposals?
Hasn't been announced yet, but if they do similar to what they did last year, I believe in May or June, you'll see an announcement with the proposals in July, August timeframe. Usually around, last year it was around, mid-July, I think, when everything
Okay.
was due.
We got some things that we're gonna look at.
As soon as we write them up, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we've got at least, 3 things I can think of based on, pressing needs right now. Plus, you're gonna take another crack at Tiger, right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, there's DOT funding. Did you mention that too?
Yes, well, I know Sam knows about it, but, there's some other deadlines. One deadline's on the airport, one deadline's on the rail, and both are May 20th. Those are those 2 applications.
Yeah.
That's not the CFA process, it's just,
One thing we really ought to get behind and push, in my opinion, is the Fort project.
What project?
The Fort project,
Fort
building the
project?
Fort as a CFA
Uh-huh.
application. Doesn't have to come through us, but we should be behind it, and
Well, we
there should be an
definitely
effort to get everybody behind it and write a good, you know, I don't know, you know. It seems like it would make an incredible CFA application if you had all the powers to be behind it and everybody supporting it and pushing it and everything else. And I mean, good for us for bridge traffic, good for the community in terms
Mhm.
of another tourist attraction, you know, in addition to the Remington and
I always said if you have to have more than one reason to come to Ogdenburg, I mean, the Remington is a world-class museum.
yeah.
And then you say, what are the other things that make me wanna come here to do? And, you know, it's like, okay, well, there's a fort there, and there's this there, or whatever it might be, and that's what, our travel time here is July and August,
Yeah.
you know? And you say, what do you, well, some of June too, but, you know, you say, what are you gonna get in those 2.5, 3 months? It's pretty difficult up here, but that's a good idea though. I mean, you know, with the fort, where are they in the legal situation?
I think that continues. I don't think they're gonna get any extra funding from ExxonMobil
No,
or anything
they
like
don't?
that. No, I don't think so. Not that I've heard lately anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad because there's so much energy there. Well, I mean, it has continued, but I mean, it's like, some great people are working hard behind the scenes to keep
Yeah.
that going. It's like, okay, how they gonna get this going? I don't know.
Yeah, the price tag's gone up because they have a visitor center associated with it, and a trail system, and an Indian village, and it's like
All houses
they
and
oughta
all
just
that stuff.
pull all that out of there and just, you know, write an application just for the fort and worry about those other things later and bring the price tag down and, you know.
Yeah. For sure.
Plus they had a split on their board recently too, over recent litigation things where they lost about between a third and half of their board, didn't they?
Oh, I haven't heard
Over
anything
that,
about that.
litigation that was,
Yeah, I think the
Caused a big
difference
issue.
of opinion wasn't so much where they were going with the fort, but where they were going with the litigation, right?
yes. Yep. I think they need to regroup and circle the wagons.
Yeah.
Wrong historical reference, but
All right,
circle the ships.
circle the wagons, they'll have a fork, huh?
Anything else, Scott?
Just for your information, I'm a member of an agricultural task force of NISAC, New York State Association of Counties, and I have a meeting, at a Greek yogurt plant in, a county downstate near,
Shenango.
Shenango County, on May 16th. Will be including a tour of a yogurt plant, so, I think that'll be interesting.
When do you want another meeting? You need a month, 2 months? I mean, Wade, what do you think? John?
Quarterly, I think would be
2 or
fine,
3
if
months?
that works for,
Probably, I'm not sure what happens, and you know, in your, of your year routine, whatever, I mean, school teachers, we have a hot spot and a low spot, whatever, or whatever those situations are. Is the summertime a hot spot that some things we need the coordinator deal with, and kinda go back off in the fall? I don't know, you tell me what you need, I don't know,
yeah, it's just, June.
couple months?
Say sometime in June, maybe.
Yeah, let's go for June. John, okay,
Yep,
June?
that's fine.
That work. Had a particular date in mind, or?
Maybe, maybe like this is like a day before a regular board meeting, something like that?
That tentatively is the 5th.
Well, that would put us in the July board meeting got moved to the 10th.
Well, July
So-
10th is,
That would be our next,
Yeah, June might be a little too early.
yeah, let's go
Yeah,
July.
let's go.
Okay.
Let's go
about,
July.
Tuesday, July 9th? Work for everybody?
That's a
Yeah.
scrambled day. Do you want a different day? No, we don't do that. You wanna do it in the afternoon?
I'm just kidding, it doesn't make any difference to me.
Well, it is for me, but I've gotta work the month of July, so don't
I've,
have to.
Right in prime golf season.
Yeah, we're,
You see, what happens is I always win early, and about then I start losing, so one day off is to my advantage. It doesn't make any difference.
I'll tell you what would work for me that day. It would be, in the afternoon. After lunch sometime.
3 o'clock?
Yeah.
What date is that, on a Tuesday?
Tuesday, July 9th, 3 o'clock.
Be good for you guys, Wade?
We'll make it work. Again, it interferes with some of the last minute stuff that comes in for the board meeting, for the other such stuff,
Okay.
but that's okay. I mean, if we can
I
get it
think
done.
we really got, got up to speed here today. I think that was, a really good meeting for, all the type of things that you're working on, whatever. you know, for us as board members, you know, knowing exactly what's going on, all those type of things, now, obviously I know on camera, whatever the type of things that we can say or not say, whatever, but at least it helps us understand, you know, all the things that, the problems that you're dealing with as far as, you know, the good things that happen too, so, I mean, so when you come back to a board meeting, when you have some recommendations, well, you know, like here, we've kinda spent some money out of this committee to say, all right, these are things that we wanna try to do that, you know, make sense in the long haul, that maybe we can get some added business, whatever. And like you said, Fred, is, you know, if you haven't tried it before, you'll never know exactly what you got or doesn't work, you know, or old things, do work, and you stay with, like your flyers, those work, that's a good thing. I mean, that's, you know, that's, and that was one of the recommendations anyways, was one of the things to stay with those type of things, but you know, our electronic world is something different today, but I'm not sure who taps in and who doesn't, you know? Or if you go to junk mail, you know, you're not listed, whoop, you get beeped out, you know?
I would just mention for this committee, I'm mentioning something that kind of, then I'm gonna turn around negative. Meetings tend to be long enough without extending them, but with our group, the three of us, we could even look at an 8 o'clock meeting on the 10th if that is easier than the 3 o'clock meeting on the 9th. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, probably that, and the reason I say that probably won't work is we're probably gonna have something related to the airport that would trigger a facilities
And that's just fine,
committee.
but I just mentioned sometime in the future, I know Fred Carter didn't like the 8 o'clock meetings because they kind of bit into whatever he was doing. I don't think for us it makes a difference, so
Okay.
just to mention that, sometime in the
Because the
future.
other thing too is we'll probably, that would be an excellent opportunity to dovetail a governance meeting and right after the marketing committee meeting, because you're here for the.
And
Right,
that's,
well,
that's fine. It's kind of nice not to go 6-7 hours in a row, and then get to the most important part, and you're trying to make a decision or whatever, and you're just,
yeah, good. Make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? All-
All
You're
in
right.
favor? All in favor? Aye.
And actually, Doug,
Opposed?
anything you see along the way that you